Well, this massive sinkhole opened up in Polk County 3 weeks ago, and since then, potentially radioactive water has been pouring into the Florida aquifer.
And Lloyd, this is a story that really began more than 50 years ago.
That's right, Chris. It began back in the 1960s when they came up with the plan to build the plant, and it didn't take long for the controversy to begin. From the earliest days of Port Manatee, the plan to build the Piney Point fertilizer plant here raised alarm among those who feared serious environmental damage.
And one of the reasons we formed was because of Piney Point, which was constructed in 1966.
Glenn Compton heads the environmental group Minnesota 88, formed to stop the fertilizer plant at a proposed oil refinery. They stopped the refinery, but the fertilizer plant would cause environmental problems, just as they predicted.
Piney Point is located in one of the worst possible locations you could have in the state of Florida. It's adjacent to Tampa Bay. It's near Bishop's Harbor, which is outstanding Florida water, which is supposed to be protected.
Pollution fouled the pristine waters as early as 1970. Years later, at least 2 acid clouds were accidentally released. The owner, Mulberry Corporation, declared bankruptcy in 2001 and abandoned the plant.
Whatever could go wrong has gone wrong at Piney Point over the decades of its existence.
We know that the contamination has not migrated beyond the immediate area of the water loss incident, so there's not a urgency.
That means, according to Mosaic, none of the contaminated water left the property. It's being pumped back from the aquifer into their own wells.
Not migrated beyond the immediate area of the water loss incident.
What we're witnessing is not a naturally occurring red tide. This toxic water that was dumped from a phosphate holding site into Tampa Bay supercharges the red tide and is a direct link to why we have so many dead fish in Tampa Bay right now. This, mixed with the problem of draining the Lake Okeechobee water into the ocean, has been supercharging red tide for years now. If you live in Florida or know anyone who lives in Florida, send them this video or send them this. I was wrong in my last video. I said 2 million gallons of toxic water were released from Piney Point into Tampa Bay, when in reality it was over 200 million gallons of toxic water. And I would just like to say I'm doing my very best to educate myself, the best that I can on this topic, but I do not know everything. I am not an expert. If you are an expert and you know everything that there is to know about this and you think that you can help me get my point across, please email me. I have an email in the description. There's nothing more destructive to the earth and to the environment than phosphate mining. The byproducts created by converting phosphorus rock into usable phosphate is highly toxic. The Environmental Protection Agency says it's too radioactive to be buried. So what do? They build these giant 500-foot tall stacks called gypsum stacks. There are 25 gypsum stacks in Florida, and in August of 2016, a huge sinkhole opened up on a gypsum stack, and hundreds of millions of gallons of toxic radioactive water poured directly into the Florida aquifer, which is where we get our drinking water from.
A sinkhole property at the Mosaic plant in Polk County. That water, we're told, is radioactive. It's toxic and it's flowing deep underground. And today we're focused on finding just how far that water is flowing and whether or not it's safe for the people who live nearby to drink. The Now's Ryan Race joining us live from the plant in Mulberry. And Ryan, any word yet on why the company Mosaic kept this sinkhole a secret for 3 weeks?
Well, they're telling us they did the right thing by notifying the regulatory agency, and they didn't tell the public because there wasn't a risk to the public. That's their words.
Well, this massive sinkhole opened up in Polk County 3 weeks ago, and since then, potentially radioactive water has been pouring into the Florida aquifer. But the public was never told until now.
Another sinkhole opened on top of the same gypsum stack in 2004, and in 1997, 50 million gallons of wastewater spilled into the Leafy River. It was compared to the acidity of battery acid, and it killed everything in the river. That happened in Polk County in 1997. Now we're witnessing over 200 million gallons of wastewater that was intentionally dumped into Tampa Bay to prevent catastrophic flooding for a nearby neighborhood. We have known about this potential problem since a very long time ago, over 20 years, and our government didn't and hasn't done anything about it. One of the main companies responsible for this is Mosaic. They made $9 billion in revenue off of fertilizer last year, and they're the biggest fertilizer producer in the world. In 2017, like I said, one of the biggest sinkholes ever opened up, and it took them 2 years to fix the hole after hundreds of millions of gallons of toxic water was dumped into the Florida aquifer. Now look at Tampa Bay. One of the most famous cities on the entire planet is a toxic waste dump. There's literal islands of dead fish in the middle of Tampa Bay. This is capitalism gone wrong. This is corruption. And these are people that only care about making money. Something obvious is that we will run out of phosphate eventually. There's a lot of claims stating that the agricultural industry could not survive without it? Well, we're going to have to figure it out. We've survived as humans for thousands of years without phosphorus fertilizer, and we will run out eventually, as I've said. But something that will happen before we run out of phosphate is we will have killed every marine animal within shouting distance of Florida. So why even keep this up if we're killing billions of sea creatures right now? Why are we still doing this? Oh, because one billionaire has a lot more say than millions of people for some reason. Well, I'm over it. I saw this post and I'm going to go there tomorrow. I'm going to be at St. Pete Pier tomorrow to protest what's happening peacefully. If you guys want to come, please come. Tell as many people as you can to show up. This is just a small step in the right direction to show our government how much we care about this place and how passionate we are to stop this from ever happening again. I'm working with my friends, colleagues, and my peers to come up with a real plan to stop this. For now, we need to make it known that phosphate corporations are not welcome in Florida. Nobody wants you here. Mosaic has single-handedly already destroyed 1 million acres of Florida. That is 1 million acres of natural, beautiful Florida that will absolutely, undeniably never be the same. Like this video, share this video, comment on this video, do everything you can to help this go viral, because we're not going to stop, and we're not going to give up, and we're not going to shut up, and there's nothing that they can do to shut us up. I don't know, if you have a social media platform, if you know a social media influencer, if you use social media, do your part. Start spreading the word, start telling your friends, start sending this to as many people as you can. We have to do something. We always said that we would fight for what's right, and we do not plan on stopping anytime soon. We always have, and we always will.